We have two great looking light modified tractors here. Both of them big Hemis. Sullivan's here has Brad Anderson's. And I think we got the Minor Brothers on the other side. And we've got big 1471 superchargers on both of them. The nice carbon fiber hats. But there's two things I want to mention. The first one is that is the same front that's been on Sullivan's tractors since he started. I'm thinking in the 70s. He may have been pulling before that, but that's as far back as I can remember anyways. But anyways, that's pretty awesome. That's the same front. That little Massey.
Yeah, we kind of did with the native, yeah.
So I think that's great. Piece of history right there. But the other thing I want to point out, and there's always been a lot of talk, and if you ever watch modified tractors, you'll notice a lot of them have tube frames, but not all of them. There's a lot of wedge frames still out there. I'll get down lower so you can kind of see it. And that frame is a wedge shape instead of tube frame, like tubes like you see in a race car. Some of the other pulling tractors you saw, we can see that frame is just like an angled C-channel wedge, but it actually wraps around the side here. So you can see it comes around the edge here. But a lot of people like that, they say it'll hook the power to the ground better than the tube chassis. So we'll see the wedge frame here. You also see it on Simon's tractor. So when you're watching the modified classes, kind of watch to see which one's doing better. See if your wedge frames are doing better. Again, there's another wedge frame over there, or your tube frames are doing better. But yeah, some good looking unlimited or modified tractors here. We'll slip back here. Simon's is always a good running piece too.
That's called pumping the sweat.
Yeah, there. I'll get down low again so you can see there's that wedge frame. You see they run those motors all the way as far forward as they can to get as much weight forward as they can. These high power tracks like Bollinger Green here, they went all that weight on the front because it makes a big lever and puts a lot of power, lets them put a lot of power to that big back wheel or back wheels. And again, you'll see everything in the back has holes in it. All holes through there, all holes down there. I'm trying to get as much of that weight out of that box to go to the front. Looking at Korporal's Punisher here. I was talking to one of the gentlemen, and I was admiring all that really nice machine work. But they used to get these cast, but they can't cast them anymore, so we're getting them machined. And they got it down so quickly now, it's not much more than a cast one. But we're also looking at about 3,200 horsepower, and from that clutch to the top of that supercharger, the bottom of that oil pan, we're looking at about 900 pounds. And $150,000. I think that comes out to about a little less than $120 a pound. I don't know if that's a good deal or not, but it's a lot of horsepower per pound. These mags, 44 amps. Back in the my dad, late 90s, when my dad quit pulling, it was about 8 amps. So they can really burn a lot more fuel. So they got these big pumps on there, so they can pump a lot of fuel. And they got the sparks so they can burn it. So they make a lot more horsepower. Plus they make everything so much stronger. You can see these blocks are all billet now. That's a billet block. Billet heads. As you just saw, the intake was billet. I really like this system they have here for tension in the belt. That's pretty sharp looking. Just a really good looking setup here. And you got space to add more motors, which you'll see later on. And again, you can see the big tires. And I like their logo there, modern. If you need something from them, get a hold of them. They'll make you just about anything you need. There we go. Light modified champion. Definitely one to watch for. They had a good run last night. And look them up on all your social media. Light modified class here. You can see that you only have 2 engines. This one's got 2 big Hemis on it. Obviously you can see by the big huge valve covers. Really good looking tractor. And you can see right there is where they can add another motor. They've got the motors so close together, they have these log manifolds, headers made up for it. We've got Voreis coming across the scales, getting ready for the light unmodified class. The American Thunder, great running piece of equipment right here. Never satisfied. Got another Hemi tractor.
Authorized dealers in the U.S. and Canada. Simply put, Mac Trailer is here for you. We built our legacy. Now let's build yours.
There's our SCS gearbox. Going back to a big, basically a semi-truck rear end back there. But to make it semi-truck rear end, they got to put these planetaries on there.
Experience the Force clean, pure oil coursing through your engine.
Another good running twin here. Get the minor motors on it. It's actually kind of based on a Chevy bottom end with a Hemi head. Big superchargers, look at them guys, and the big carbon fiber hats. And they wrap those gearboxes, you see that? In case they explode, it's kind of like an explosion-proof safety feature. Take a quick look inside his cockpit, and you can see the throttle up here. That's for opening. Then he's got fuel shutoffs down here, and they can add a third motor. That's why you see 3. And in reverser, so that's how you go from forward to reverse. Again, the big Midas tires. Really short treads on them, big wide.
track out of Roanoke, Indiana. Legendary name in the sport, especially here at Bowling Green.
We got the night train, Lucas Hileman, my cousin's, my father, John Hileman Sr.'s great nephew's going to be driving this one. Last night, they had the fuel pump brake on him, so it shut that motor down. He had a good run going. And it's one of the few Chevy tractors out here anymore. But we're wishing him luck tonight. He's got the two big Chevys on there, supercharged. Big supercharger on the back one. Just a little bit more tread on his tires than some of the other guys. And all of his weight is on the front end. And we see we have a little more weight. We can move the front on this one next door. Tires cut really short on Limitless. Look at that cockpit. Looks really good in there. They did a really nice job. Check out that big throttle. Wow. And a reverser down here. Those are your brake pedals left and right. And I'll go back around the back to show you how big those brakes are on these things. You can see how beefy the pedals are. Because these things have huge disc brakes on the back. Go back where it just came from. And you can see that big disc brake back in there. There's a caliper up front. Great big caliper. You can see it on the other side as well. But yeah, these have probably 36-inch disc brakes. But it takes a lot to stop all this horsepower. Again, another one with the great big SSI superchargers on it. It's one of the top contenders in the class. And that's something I've never noticed. I'll have to ask one of the guys what this is. Right down here. And I'll put that up above. You see the fuel tank. Another one of the light unlimiteds. Pair of Hemis again. Big Hemis. How much horsepower you anticipate these make, these big Hemis? 3,500 a piece. So those 1471s are a little bit bigger. 14 high helix. And are you guys 520 cubic inches or a little bit bigger?
I think 540, 541.
540 cubic inches. And they've got the latest intakes. You can see how the superchargers are pushed way back. Had that out for a little while. Nice big supercharger hats. And if you're curious, there's their filter. You can actually see down in and see how dirty it is. I like that. And we have another inline motor combination here. Did you guys run a 5-disc clutch in this?
No, sir.
Still 4?
No, 3.
No, only 3 and holds all that power.
Well, it's got enough weight on it. It's just locked it. I mean, it's just to get it started. Really about the only reason it might even need the clutch is to get it started.
Get it going.
Shift into gear.
Big 1471 high helix chargers. Nice carbon fiber hats. I like these oil filter assemblies where you can see your screen. So if you go between runs, you can take a quick look without taking it apart. And as you can see, like a lot of them, they have room for more motors.
Yeah, we'll have the 3rd on here this afternoon, hopefully. As long as we get through this with it unscathed.
That's what we like to hear. Unscathed.
Yeah, I like to unscathed too.
Well, good luck tonight, or this afternoon, and tonight. And you can see they use a lot of composite materials on the fenders and such too. Aluminum seat, like I said, try to keep the weight down. And the other side, those big disc brakes. A lot of these tractors here also have a nice setup for the filters. I pointed to it earlier. That's clear view. You can see in the top. You can see it says clear view right across top. But the other thing I didn't know, they just pointed out to me, that guy right there, you blow air in there and it cleans all the oil off. So you can see right away if you have a clean filter or dirty filter. If you got bearings going out bad or any metal particles, something coming apart inside, you can see if you have damage. So if you make the first pass, you got to come back 6 later or something, you can tell right away if you have any issues or if they come back for a pull off. So that's another neat thing that they've added over the years to these tractors. And we were just looking at boost gauges, and that was at 57 just a little bit ago. They just reset it, but pretty good boost also for a Roots supercharger, high helix actually, but. Checking out Bill Lashner's Unlimited modified tractor. It's got 4 engines sitting on it right now, and it's got that candy red. They just keep this machine looking great. You can see those Brad Anderson valve covers just painted and polished to the hilt. They have the composite specialties hats, big superchargers, and these motors are actually turned around backwards. If you look here, the gearbox is right here. And so there you can see the motors. And I love the inside valve covers. They're billet and they say dirt slinger. And I can see the belt housing here, gearbox. That might be direct drive. I'm gonna have to ask a question here. Is this actually direct drive? Is that second motor direct drive?
What do you mean?
This one.
There's
a clutch inside there too?
4 disc clutches in here.
Okay, tucked inside there with the drive or with the built into the
these engines
gearbox
are direct shaft to shaft basically.
Okay.
With the clutches on each one.
It's inside the bag for the gearbox, so you don't see it like you do here. You can see the
hollow shaft going through.
Okay.
So, but yeah, if you put a bar on this engine, that engine will turn.
Okay, so it's running kind of like a 16-cylinder.
Yep.
Okay. Do you time them out 180 or right on the money on each one?
180.
180. That's why we used to do ours too. Yeah, that's pretty. And you can see, look at the block. You can see it's a billet. Pretty amazing. But yeah, it's the first time I've noticed that setup with Dirt Slinger. Very, very nice. The technology is really cool. And you can see all the carbon fiber. The carbon fiber is painted over on the outsides, still carbon on the inside. Very, very sharp. Just a class piece. Wedge frame. Everything's polished to the hilt. And they only run 4 PSI in these tires. Now they'll vary that air pressure a little bit for different tracks. You can see the big disc brakes in there. And you can see the composite material underneath. But yeah, what a great looking piece of equipment Bill keeps and his family and his team.
All right, here we go, fans. Track is clear. The Dirt Slinger, Bill Weissner.
We're checking out Sullivan's Kentuckian here. It's got 3 big Brad Anderson motors on it. Big superchargers on top. And we're just checking out the way they do their multi-engine. You can see the gearbox again, wedge frame. And you can see they have the 2 motors coming back and the other one turned backwards. And the gearbox, so that motor is backwards. So another way of putting multiple engines in. And you can see he has his 3 controls back there for his fuel shutoffs. And actually has a 4th control back there, so they maybe can put 1 more on if they wanted to. But good looking setup, a Sullivan family. We've been in Poland for a long time. Great family. Got a Voreis American Thunder here, and they're putting some fuel in it. They just ran a little bit ago and they're topping it off to run later. But you can see how massive. See, that's the fuel hose that goes in, and that fuel hose is probably nearly 3 inches. Now these motors, what, they burn 5 gallons a pass or a little bit more now per motor. So we're burning about 15 on the front 2 and 5 on the back. So you're looking at 20 gallons to the 350 foot. So not the most fuel efficient. And again, you can see that big monster hose for fuel. It just pumps fuel in. I don't know how many, probably a tremendous amount per hour. The big superchargers, Fowler models.
What's happening, sir?
So we got our 3 engine configuration. This one's got the gearbox back here instead of up there. This motor's turned around, so it's pointing forwards. So you can see all the different configurations for them. But another good looking modified tractor. And again, you can see that big monster fuel line rolling down through there.
I think we're ready, man.
And American Thunder team was nice enough to inform me that whenever they add the extra engine, they have to run a completely different gearbox, because the gear reduction in this gearbox is what they use to change the gear ratio for this next class. So it's actually done in that gearbox. So that's interesting. Years ago, we had actually a 5-speed transmission back here. And for a little while, they were actually changing planetary gears in here. But now, they're changing the gearboxes from class to class when they add and subtract motors for their gear ratio. Very interesting. Constantly evolving sport. Always learning. The other good looking modified Dirt Slinger 1X. Coming off the scales, heading to the track. We got Ricky Rose, we got Rose Motorsports here. You can see the triple combination there. Yeah, we've got Ricky Rose's tractor here. And we see we've got 4 engines, sorry, tucked away on it. Looking pieces of equipment here, Bowling Green. Lots of horsepower. When it was raining earlier, you can see the mud puddle down here. Everybody else was ducking away, getting out of the rain. These guys are adding more motors. We now have 5 motors on this one. And I always think it's interesting how they add the motors. You can see the gearbox right here. That motor's sitting in there backwards. So the supercharger pulleys and superchargers at that end. And we're looking at this from the front. You can see how tight everything's tucked in there. So this is a great way to keep all your weight forward. Yeah, guys. Keep all your weight forward when you're making this much power. You gotta keep that weight as far forward as you can. So they put that motor right up there in between the other 4. Pretty amazing.
It's going 5 engine traffic. Yeah, 5 of them. Stop out front. Green lights on, green flags ready.
We got full-blown Wicked here with these big, massive screw chargers. See how big these guys are? Just massive. These motors, if they wanted to crank that pulley, They already got a tiny one on front, but put a really big one on the bottom, crank that boost up. You're looking at over 4,000 horsepower out of one of these screw charger motors. So in the unlimited class, they're actually only allowed to run 3 of them because the potential horsepower for these is pretty high. How much boost you run with these screw chargers?
About 60 pounds.
60 pounds? And you guys are limited on overdrive, aren't you?
Yeah, 125%.
125%. You're still making what, 3,500?
4,000 horsepower.
4,000. So wow. Yeah, I was talking to Brian Knox about it. He says them screws are just incredible. The more you boost them, the more they make.
Yep.
Wow. So I got a little YouTube channel. We kind of explain why you have 3 motors. A lot of guys have 4, maybe 5. It's because right now NTPA is kind of penalize you for your screw chargers.
Well, we're not really penalized. We could put another motor on.
Oh,
if
you
we
could
wanted
put
to.
one on. Okay.
Right, but we're making so much more horsepower per motor than the other guys are. It's all about getting the horsepower to the ground.
Yes.
Not necessarily who has the most horsepower is going to win.
Very good. I appreciate it. And you ran last night?
We ran Thursday night. We got
Okay.
second.
Well, very good. Very good. Which one of you guys got the ring?
My brother did.
Oh, great. So you got one ring going home
Good
already?
evening, everyone.
Yep.
Just to let you know, a cell phone with Verizon service, along with some cards.
So
your
we just got done
ID,
talking
your license, and a room
about some of
key
these
has been turned into the
full-blown wicked here.
administration
One
office,
mean
which
machine.
big white
And they
building
make
with
a
green
lot of
roof.
power right now. It's hard to beat tractor pulling for lots and lots of horsepower and motors. Just look at all these motors. Murdered out, back in black. We got one of my favorites, Joey Edders, with the big 1871 superchargers. You can see they're even longer than the motor, longer than the tank aft behind the motor. Yeah, big, massive superchargers. And a top runner, and definitely a fan favorite. He's a super good guy. Got another 4 engine here, but this one's got a unique combination. See, it's got regular superchargers in front, but it's got screw chargers on the back motors. So, and another thing, I guess I never noticed this before, but I probably should. These are not Hemis. These guys are running, is it an Olds block or just a billet?
It's a Chevy Hemi base.
It's Chevy Hemi base with an aftermarket Chevy maybe type head, but just bigger.
It's a Chevy top end pretty much and a Dodge bottom end.
Okay, so it does run like a Hemi crank type bottom end with 6-bolt main. So it is still like your high-end Hemis with the top fuel Hemis or something. And what's your horsepower difference between your screw chargers and your regular chargers? You're probably making what, 3,000 and 4,000? By some F-18. thing about Bowling Green. Everything's fine. They're making a circle around. You see him going out there? Yeah, the Polars and fans love those things. They're just awesome. That's all I can say. Just like these tractors, but maybe more so. So we're going to head up to the front. We're going to start watching some tractor pulling.
Before we allow...
some of the mini rod RCs.
Pull off, what's out of pound? Here we go.
Good looking pieces these guys built.
We had one. We got one. Load and finish line. Don't let out. Blow it up.
Can you talk about wheel speed, man?